Hi there, it's Ansara. I am coming on to share again, getting a little practice being in front of the camera and speaking and sharing from my heart. I tried not to go back and look at some of my initial recordings too much. In doing so, I did learn a little bit about this whole process, and I did see and notice some things. I had a lot pouring through me and I'm taking the time now to be a little bit more present and intentional, slower, and maybe hold still a little bit more. I was very excited, and so I just pushed record and allowed a lot of that to come through. This is all new for me, and I hear people use the word cringe. I could definitely tune into that if I choose to, but it's raw, real, in the moment, unedited, and what's been in my heart today has been in response to some comments made in private on my initial shares, and it was beautiful to reflect on. I guess I can be seen coming across as really maybe not very deep, and I'll admit my natural state is very joyful, vibrant, happy and light, very childlike, playful, joyful. That's just my natural state, and so that may come across in some of the things that I share, and that's okay. That's a beautiful thing. And what I realized in contemplating that, like, there was part of me, of course, that ego part was like, well, hey, I'm deep. What's funny about that is, I am, and I've studied a lot of we all are, first of all, we all have great depths, maybe even that we haven't explored yet, so that's beautiful. But what I realized is that, I've studied many different ancient wisdom traditions in depth, because when I do go into something, I dive in head first and fully, very fully. So I've studied many ancient wisdom traditions, maybe not in their fullness, but in great depth, meaning I really dove into not just reading about these traditions and practices, but really putting them into place. I'm all about practical application. I don't even really want to read or know about anything these days unless I can apply it practically in my daily life and in my moments and in my relationships and in my shares. So, okay, where was I? So I dove into many of these wisdom traditions, actually, ancient, modern, all of the above. Shamanism was one of the things that I got into initially, and into different energy healing modalities. I have been fully trained in Reiki and partially trained in biodynamic cranial sacral therapy, and many others. I've developed my own. And this is just a little bit about me, just so you know, just FYI. I studied Buddhism extensively, Taoism, many world religions and traditions. The latest, I spent 2 years going pretty deep into the fullness of Kabbalah with a K. Kabbalah and Torah, the Torah, and learning the Hebrew and Aramaic languages. No, I'm not fluent in either, but I do have I felt a great connection to them. That's when I study something, I might not know all the information and be able to list it all off. And this is a skill that I've always had. Maybe you can relate to this. And it's unique in that I can pick up a book, read the cover and the back, and maybe like a few pages and get the gist of it. This overarching, the energy thereof. So I might not be able to list off all the, bullet points of this is this and that's that. But I feel it. I internalize it. I take it in and let it move through me and let it move me and inform me in those ways. Specifically, I worked with Hebrew, the Hebrew and Aramaic letters, 22 letters. And, ooh, that was a journey. That's maybe for another video. All that being said, that might not come across in all of my shares, all that I've studied in depth and like the specific details of this is this and that's that. I'm not called to do so. Maybe one day if I am, I will. Because it's all so powerful and beautiful. Like there's so many little details in everything and all of it that are sacred. All of it is. But what I want to speak on is that after all that deep diving, after all those intense, fiery initiations and the dark abyss that I might not have traveled the world yet is the key word, because I dream and hope to. I haven't even been outside of the country yet, but I have journeyed within myself to the deepest layers of my soul, inside out, through and through, mental. That's a funny word. That's all new. Mental, physical, emotional, energetic, soul levels, multidimensionality, because we're all so multidimensional. Oh my gosh, 7 and I, my son he's 11. We were just having a conversation this morning about time and death and the eternal nature of things and how we never truly die. And he was the one that brought this up and just started talking about it. And I love him so much. He's my treasure. He told me last week he's a paragon. This kid. Anyhow. Oh, this message, this will be funny, this video. We'll see if I keep it, post it, and share it. Anyhow, after going to all of those depths and exploring, and I mean, I've been doing this since I was a child. I was a little bit of a weird kid. I was a nerd, and I essentially read the encyclopedia, not all of it in its entirety. I like to learn about what I'm interested in, but almost all of it. I would skim over things that I didn't want to read. But, yeah, and, at 5 years old, I read the newspaper daily, and, so yeah, I've been on this lifelong journey of exploration, and I wanted to know it all. But I ended up, reading about everything, but I ended up experiencing it all, and at the end of it all, well, or is it the beginning, now I get to live. After I've explored all those depths, now what I'm coming into is experiential living, and also the freedom to just be, to not have to know or do. And those depths, those really deep and profound places within me, what I realized after some of the comments and feedback I received was that those places, those things, they're reserved for me and the divine. And I don't need to share them, and I don't need to, portray that side of me or, pretend. I don't have to, pretend, or I don't have to make that known to anyone, because God knows. The all that is aware of all that I am. And so, maybe here and there will be a hint of that energy that comes through in a message I share. But mostly that will remain not locked away and hidden. But that's true intimacy. For me, true intimacy is not in the bedroom. I've been celibate for a very long time, truth be told, and I love it. I've enjoyed it immensely. It has shown me and gifted me with levels that I didn't know existed within myself. And it may not be for everyone. There's no have-tos. But I've gotten to experience that. And true intimacy for me is not in the bedroom. I know these are this is a very candid topic. Candid topics. But true intimacy is in the depths of the heart and soul and the mind and the body. But true intimacy is just between you and one other, and that's the divine. It's God. Woo. And one day, hopefully, maybe, probably, with another, and only with my other. And so while I'm excited to come on and share more openly many things, I think the next things I'm going to be speaking on, really called to intuitively and in dreams, is I'm being called to speak more and more on my awakening journey, which I never thought about doing so, because when I first started to talk about my awakening experiences, oh man, and I've only told like a small handful of people, it wasn't well received, as you can only imagine. I started talking about things that I was seeing and sensing and feeling and experiencing, and no one else around me was, and so it didn't go very well, and that's okay. It's all funny looking back on it now, but maybe you're someone that's where you're at right now, or something that you can relate to. But I'm called to share more of those experiences, which that's going to be wild, because most all of them are beyond epic, totally wild, crazy, out there. Even my son, who's really open to everything and knows me probably better than anyone on earth at this point, even he's like, Mom, you're crazy. And so many of my awakening experiences are completely miraculous, inexplicable. There's hardly a way to put words on them. It'll be interesting to share some of those with everyone, because that is a pretty deep and intimate part of me. But it's time to start sharing those things, all things multidimensional. And most of those things, those awakenings, those inner awakenings, most of the, the gifts and abilities and things, I was already having these experiences as a child, and then I stopped for a very long time. And then once I began my awakening process, they started to come back in and come back online, and I was like, whoa, but on a whole nother level. And I still live with these experiences daily. The things I see, sense, and feel are completely out of this world, not the norm. And I know many are now, and that's what's exciting. 10 years ago, when I really started to heal and dive into these things, 10, 11 years ago, this was my prayer. I was like, oh my God, this is epic, and I want this for everyone I know. I want this for the world. And anyway, here I am. Here we are, with all the love within and around me. Many blessings.